Hello and welcome to my first YouTube video looking at NRL Fantasy today on the Who's Hot and Who's Not list on footystatistics.com. Free website, very handy, use it every day if you're a fantasy addict like me. A little bit of background, I've been playing very seriously for the past 8 years now. Been a fan all my life, big Warriors fan. And yeah, thought I'd just go over the Who's Hot, Who's Not list of players and let you know my opinions, and maybe it will help you out in making a decision for your trades or not to trade this week. So we'll get started with the Who's Not list. We've got Kaeo Weekes, the fullback for Canberra, who in my opinion is overpriced due to the fact that he played games at halfback last season, and now that he's playing fullback, his average is going to be less statistically if we look at historic data. So yes, I would definitely be jumping off Kaeo Weekes and maybe looking at someone like AJ Brimson, or if you missed out on a Savelio Tamale, I would be getting on one of those two. Because yeah, Weekes probably needs to go. He's going to bleed maybe another 50k cash, could be even more. Nanai, so he's been dropped this week on form to reserve grade. He could be down there for, my estimate would be 1 to 2 weeks. I don't think it'll be that long until he comes back up, but you never know. But if you are an owner, not many are, but I would definitely be selling him just because it looks like he could, when he does return, he could be only playing that 60-minute edge role now that John Bateman seems to be the 80-minute edge for the Cowboys, and they usually only have one. But yeah, I would be selling Jeremiah Nanai there. We got Victor Radley, who won't be playing this week due to failing his HIA. He will be back next week though, so I guess if you did start with him, you would be, I can see not many players did, but if you started with him, you took him for a reason, right? And he's only going to be missing the 1 week, you would presume. But I would probably still be looking to move him on for one of the players that is shown to be a decent buy this week, like Corey Horsburgh, Tom Gilbert, one of those guys. Even in Alex Seyfarth, you could go for him. But yeah, I don't think, I'd be selling Radley as well. Tapine, 2 week suspension. I think I'd be jumping off at this point. You really, if you've gone for a gun like Tapine this early, you really need them playing in your side, getting you those points. And holding for 2 weeks, where he's going to also lose cash, probably with that break even of 61, I would be moving him on to, if you can get there, up to a Payne Haas or even a Jermaine Hopgood, who's had a small discount on his round 1 price. Royce Hunt, yeah, bit of a dud, this guy. Can only see him playing 25 to 30 minutes a week, so there's very limited upside with him. So yeah, I'd probably be jumping off him. Thankfully, he's not basement price, so if you are short on cash, you can probably pivot to one of the other cash cows that look a bit better, maybe Hubner from the Rabbitohs, or Gosiewski from the Broncos, someone like that. Alex Seyfarth, so he's being sold by quite a few teams. People are obviously frustrated with his score of 29. It did include an HIA where he missed 15 minutes of game time, and I'm definitely going to be holding him. He's in my team. So my advice would definitely be to hold, because I see that he could have up to 15 points of upside if you just look at his starts in the second row. There aren't that many, but he does average 49 in those starts, and he's currently priced at 35. And if you take out that 47-minute game even, you get just nearly 51. So yeah, I'd be looking to hold Seyfarth. Give him, if he doesn't produce anything above 40 for the next couple of weeks, then I'd start to look to move him on. But this trade just feels quite knee-jerky, and probably people are trading him to Jamie Humphreys, so that could be the right move, but fantasy is a long game, and it does not feel like someone that you should be trading out right now, in my opinion. Alright, Finefeuiaki. So this is one where I'm a little bit on the fence, because he will be missing this week, but should be back next week. So he's only missing one game, and if you look at his score, he looked like he was on for a pretty decent score, price at 30, already making you money there, and who knows if he was going to play the 80 minutes. It's tough to tell, because Lemuelu probably would have come on for a bit of time there on the edge, but Lemuelu's now injured for the next month. So we've seen Oren Keeley come onto the edge there. But yeah, this one's a tough one. I think if you can afford to hold him, I probably would, just because he probably has his name on that starting edge role. And yeah, I think he can definitely be someone that makes you money in a tough edge position at the moment. But if you don't have any other route to get to Jamie Humphreys, I think you can probably sell Finefeuiaki to him, but otherwise I'd probably be holding. Stephen Crichton, yeah, he's really feels like he's fallen off since playing at Penrith, and I just don't think at the Dogs he just doesn't seem very much of a fantasy relevant player. He came off early last week with cramp and scored only a 12, so a little bit of a concern there. But I don't know, I think he's obviously named to play this week. I think you can hold him if you really like him as a player, but my advice with fantasy wise would definitely just be to sell and jump on one of the centre cheapies that you miss. So you've got Robert Toia, Shibasaki, even Stafford Toa, but he's a little bit risky due to the Terrell May situation. Yeah, I'd go for Toia or Shibasaki if you can. Okay, we got Big Steph. Yeah, so he's on a bye this week. Also got lower minutes than you probably would have wanted, but that was just game situation. He didn't really need to play the big minutes. So if you have gone in on him, you could use him as a loop this week if your team's looking fairly strong, and just wait it out. Maybe see how he goes in round 3, because they've got Penrith, so you should get a proper representation of what minutes he's going to be playing. And I think if you have no other way to Humphreys, once again, I would be selling him. But yeah, I can't see Stefano getting more than 50 minutes at the Storm just at the moment. So he probably priced at 43. He may have a couple of points of upside there, but definitely if you're desperate to sell, I wouldn't blame you. But definitely someone you could hold just to see how he goes against Penrith. Harry Grant, kind of same situation, 40 points with a try and a 5-minute rest as well. I think if you've taken Harry Grant, you should definitely be holding him. He has been the elite hooker, the best hooker for the past 3 or 4 seasons, so I'm pretty strong on this one. I'd be saying hold. Yeah, I can't make a case for selling, really. You've just got to bite the bullet and hold him here, because he will repay you with some big scores. That's a guarantee. It's just a matter of when, and you knew he had this buy coming, so you've just got to hold him there. Alright, Jaxon Purdue. This one is a little bit of a tricky one. In my personal team, I will be selling this guy this week. But it's sort of, this guy can definitely be an easy hold, because all it's going to take is one big score, and that will get his price moving. Like, his break even's only 21, so I think they've got some tough matchups coming up, but he's not going to have Olakau'atu running at him every week, and he can just sit there in your emergencies and slowly make some cash. But if you do have the opportunity to move him to someone who you think's going to make faster cash, then I'd be looking to do that. But yeah, I think you can definitely hold and only sell if you have missed one of the other big cash cows like Toia or Tamale. Jack Bird. Now, I think Jack Bird is a sell for me. I believe he only played about 30 to 35 minutes at lock and then came on for an extra 15 minutes to cover Seyfarth's HIA. So in my head, he may have only played the 30 minutes, and that's just a disgusting role for fantasy that you do not want. So you could give him one more week just to see what happens. Hopefully there's no HIAs and the rotation is normal, but I would be probably selling Bird to one of the cheaper centres, Tamale, Toia. Yeah, I'd be doing that if I own Jack Bird. Kelma Tuilagi. This guy got hooked after 12 minutes and is now in reserve grade. So this is an instant sell. Sell him to Jamie Humphreys. That is the easiest trade you'll make in your life. Tyrone Munro, injured for 8 weeks. Sell him to any cash cow that is probably I will be talking about in the very distant future. Luke Metcalf, I believe he's the most sold player this week, and my decision is to hold him, and no, not because I'm a Warriors fan, but because I've calculated the statistics, and I believe that he will outscore his price of 32 points by at least 10 points. And it may take a few games, but I think it's worth, now that if you've invested in him, you might as well wait it out, I think, for a few more weeks, because everyone has low games at half. Even Sean Johnson had a few low games in the 20s, and you don't play fantasy on one game week samples. So I think if we look at his stat line, he's had a lot of missed tackles there. Obviously no attacking stats, missed both goals from the sideline expected, but the kick meters is healthy. Meters gained isn't too bad, and the tackles is alright, but I'd be expecting him to get 2 to 3 goals a game, maybe a little bit of attacking stats, a line break assist, a couple tackle breaks, a few less missed tackles, and a bit more running meters maybe, and I see him averaging around 43 to 45, and that's a clear 10 points of value. So I think I'd definitely be holding Luke Metcalf. I know Jamie Humphreys is a very tempting option due to the break-even and the fact that he got a massive score, but Humphreys is not going to score that every week. It's just not possible. He's not Nathan Cleary. And I feel like Metcalf and Humphreys will end up averaging about the same, but in my opinion, Metcalf's job security is probably a bit better, but that's pretty marginal. But yeah, I think that is my call on Metcalf. Corey Horsburgh, one guy I'm very happy to own. I think now that we've seen he got the big minutes, 59 minutes. Tapine's out for 2 weeks, so he's going to carry on getting those minutes. And when he's back, hopefully, I project him to average around 55 minutes, which means hopefully 48 to 50 points. And I would be buying Corey Horsburgh. Definitely jump on if you missed him. He just loves an offload. Busy guy, and we saw 2 seasons ago he was a PPM beast, and I think his game really suits fantasy, so I'd be jumping on Horsburgh at this pretty cheap price. Terrell May, I'm mind blown that he's even on this list because, yeah, as a lot of people are saying, he should be in 100% of teams. Even people in the top 100 don't have him. So yeah, if you're watching this video, and you don't own May, he's your first priority. Get him in because his price is going to get out of hand very quickly, and you're going to regret it. So yeah, easy one. Buy. Cherry-Evans. This is okay. This is the first guy I would say that is definitely not a buy. So we saw he scored a 78 in round 1, and yes, Cherry-Evans has games like this where he just Manly explode and he is just in all the attack. But as we saw last year, he averaged only 53 and he's priced at 56. And with Luke Brooks taking a bit more of the kick meters off him and just doing a bit more playmaking than what Cherry-Evans used to do when he averaged in the high 50s, we're just not seeing it anymore. And I just see him having another season where he averages 53 to 55 and being priced at 56. It's just a clear avoid for me. Don't chase the points. That's what looks to be happening here. Even though they've got the Warriors next, where he could get another 78, but everyone probably has too many halves already, and yeah, people must be doing Cleary to Cherry-Evans, typical point chasing, but yeah, avoid, do not buy him. Alright, Shibasaki. This one is a bit of an interesting one because buying a centre for not basement price just feels a bit wrong, and I just don't know if I can recommend buying him. Excuse me. The thing is, the upside would be he's in a strong Broncos team that looks like they're going to get, top 4, if not top 8. And he will get attacking stats week on week, but it doesn't feel like a trade that you should be making in round 2 or any time really. He could just put up, a few 30s in a row and just make you 70 to 80k, and it's not really worth the trade. So yeah, he's someone you can buy if it's right for you, but I would probably say avoid here. Olakau'atu, I'd put him in the same class as Cherry-Evans. He scored big. They smashed the Cowboys. That's what happens sometimes. Olakau'atu gets big scores, but he also gets low scores. I think if we filter all of his second row starts, so we got over 60 minutes here, comes out an average of 52, so that's probably what he's going to even out at. He's priced at 51. I just would not be touching him. There's barely any value here, unless you think that, Manly's got a strong draw, they've got a few extra home games. If you think he can average, high 50s, and then you sell him around Origin time because he's probably going to get picked for Origin, go for it, but I would probably avoid here. Hamish Stewart, that's one I didn't expect to see here, I guess. Bit of a lesser known player, but yeah, Dragons prop here, probably got a few extra minutes due to the Couchman injury, but he's definitely someone that has been on my mind, but I think considering the Dragons have a bye in round 3, I'm going to use this week as a gauge just to hopefully see the Dragons rotation without any injuries, see how many minutes he gets. But then there's also talk of David Klemmer coming over and being signed by the Dragons as well, which could definitely impact Stewart here. So I would probably avoid him this week, see what happens, and then if it looks like he is going to get 30 minutes, he can probably average 30 points in 30 minutes, I would be jumping on in round 4 if you need a mid, but yeah, avoid for now. Alright, Foketi, this one this one looks good. He's starting lock this week, scored 41 and 52 last week, but this is a strong avoid here for me. You've got Lenu coming back next game. Radley will also be back, and then Nat Butcher is not far away as well. Egan Butcher as well. So that would most likely see Foketi move to the bench as the last forward on, or just knocked off the bench completely. So at best, you're going to get one good score out of him, maybe two, and then you're going to be looking to move him on. And you're probably not going to find 100k in earnings there. So yeah, strong avoid for me there. Tupouniua, shame he couldn't do this last year when everyone owned him, including me. 2 tries in the first game. That's not going to happen every week. I almost guarantee you it's not going to happen for the rest of the season. But yeah, strong avoid for me. Curran back into the team this week. He's probably going to be on about 40 minutes a week, where he would probably end up averaging 33 to 37. Not enough value there unless we see him carve out like a 50-minute role. But the Bulldogs have a stacked forward pack. Really, the minutes are crowded, so yeah, I'd be avoiding. Do not fall into the chasing points trap here. Jesse Arthars, now this one is another avoid for me. Easy avoid. If we see last game he got lots of attacking stats, a try, 2 try assists. That happens with wingers. Wingers can get big scores, but if we look at over a season, as a winger, he's got like a few big scores, 49, 48, but that was at centre. So this could well be his highest score of the season, but it will usually average out at 27 here. Last season, 25. Filter it there, about 25 points. So priced at 28, you're looking at a guy who's probably going to average. If we add on that the Broncos are going to be a stronger team, so that he may score more tries, I would say he could average 30 at best, and that's just not enough value to be burning a trade on here. So easy avoid here. Payne Haas. Yeah, this one hurt. I do not own Payne Haas, and he was in my team for a lot of pre-season, but I ended up with Jermaine Hopgood due to last-minute changes. But anyway, that's fine. But Payne Haas, look, I think if you didn't take him, it does hurt the round 1 score, but the way he was playing, he had a crowd one run where he broke like 6 or 7 tackles. I just can't see that happening every week. He should average out to what I projected, which would be about 64 to 66. I would guess that he'd be averaging, and priced at 63. There's a couple of points of value for a gun keeper, but I just don't know who you'd be trading to him at this point. Maybe Nico Hines, or if you had Tapine, but I would say don't rip up your team to get Haas in, because he's not going to score you 81 points a week. That's just, I guarantee you that's not going to happen. I would say that only jump on Haas if you have a gun that you need to sell. Otherwise, avoid him. Just, you will have another gun instead, and hopefully they do as well as him or close to it. But yeah, I think do not tear up your team to get Haas in. Alright, Gosiewski, have you considered therapy? I think this could give you the answer here. But look, my opinion on Gosiewski, it's tough, because most people would have projected him to not play the 80 last week, and he did. Not sure if it was a factor that the game was basically done and dusted at half time, but I think if you really need an edge, you can jump on. But just the fact that Piakura is still there on the bench, and if he's showing any signs of fatigue, I feel like he'll get pulled off for Piakura, because I don't see the point in him being on the bench to come on in the last 10 minutes and play in the middle. It just seems a bit of a waste. So yeah, I'm a bit on the fence about this one. I think I would move on to him if you have a failed cow that you want to move on, but I wouldn't be buying him for the sake of buying him. I would just stick to who you have, if that makes sense. Alright, Tamale. Now, this is a different story. This guy looks so good. It feels like ages ago. It's like 2 weeks ago since he's played, but yeah, he was really good, and his reserve grade stats back it up. So he averaged in the 40s in reserve grade. So yeah, I'd be definitely jumping on this guy. Screams of Kaeo from last year. He will shoot up to like 500 or 600k, I would guess. And there is a little bit of worry that he may get dropped when Savage comes back, but I don't know. I'm of the opinion that it will be Haumole, as he was playing centre during the trial, and Tamale's always been on the wing. So, and he was one of the best players on the pitch when they played against the Warriors. So yeah, I would be buying this guy if you don't have him. Centre, wing, fullback, dual, even better. And you can probably start him as well. They are playing the Broncos this week, but I think his base is just really strong. You're looking at 200 run meters, 5 to 7 tackle breaks. He's got an offload in there as well. Yeah, I really like this guy as a buy this week. Alright, Tom Gilbert. Yeah, if you don't own Tom Gilbert, I think you would be have a bit of FOMO with the 65 pointer that he put up, and I don't blame you, but 59 tackles, that's definitely not sustainable. But what is sustainable is his minutes. So I believe he will probably be around that 55 to 60 minutes each week. And what am I doing here? If we go to lock games, he averages 48.9 and 58.6. So this is probably what you're looking at. And he's priced at 39 here. So I would probably say he's a buy. The fact that he's the captain of the team, just the eye test, he passed the eye test. He just looked like he wanted to be in every tackle. Just such a gritty, hard player. I think he's always going to get those minutes. There's no risk of him getting dropped, obviously. So yeah, I would say jump on if you haven't already, if you have a way to get to him. But I think he's not a must buy if your team is fairly settled and you can't really get to him in one trade. You have to trade one down and one up to get to him. I don't know if I'd do it, but in most cases, most teams might have one guy that they want to sell, and yeah, if you can afford it, I would jump on Tom Gilbert. And just thinking, if you didn't own Horsburgh or Gilbert and you could only buy one, I think I would get on Gilbert just because of the dual position. He's a little bit cheaper, and he is, he's so nailed. Like Horsburgh seems nailed, but just with the history of what happened with him and Ricky last year, got dropped for a lot of the season. It's not looking like that's going to happen again, but just thinking about if you're spending a trade, can only get one of them, I think I would edge it just to Gilbert, but it's very close. Alright, Robert Toia. This one's very nice and easy. If you do not own him, you should definitely be jumping on, and you should be doing it this week. He's got a -7 break even though they're playing Penrith. I think he'll score maybe 25 to 35. And yeah, he looks like he's going to be set in that centre position. Trent Robinson seemed like he was very happy with his performance, as anyone should be. He played very well, and yeah, no brainer here. Fix your mistake if you didn't buy him and jump on. Okay, and then our last player here for this week, we've got Jamie Humphreys, who absolutely brained it last week with over 700 kick meters and 30 tackles. Now, looking at his reserve grade stats, he hasn't made, or he doesn't usually make 30 tackles, and he doesn't usually kick for 700 kick meters. It's more like, 15 to 20 tackles and 200 to 400 kick meters. But I think for me, I'm looking, if he keeps the goal kicking, which I presume he would, over Isaiah Tass, I think he's going to average maybe low 40s to mid 40s. So currently priced at 30, I would say he is a buy. It's just the risk factor of Lewis Dodd and jersey 19 being named. It's just, if you think Humphreys can hold the spot, then he is a screaming buy. But if you are worried that Dodd's going to come in, then you could hold off. Wow, I think it does kind of feel like now or never, actually, because his price could get out of hand next week, and it may just feel like there's not enough value to jump on next week. But yeah, a lot of people are doing Metcalf to Humphreys. I think that is a viable move if you're happy to do it. I don't want to be on the fence too much here, but I think if I had to make a call on it, I would hold Metcalf and not buy Humphreys if that was my only way. But I would find another way to do it, which is luckily what I can do in my team. But if you have any failed gun like Tuilagi, even Finefeuiaki, or anyone I went over that's missing a week, Stefano Utoikamanu, I'd be buying Humphreys and starting him because he has a lot of upside, and especially with the goal kicking, and basically Cody Walker's not doing any in-play kicking as well. So yeah, priced at 30 points, he could be, get up to 50 points really, but that's a bit wishful thinking there. But we've seen what his ceiling can be. So yeah, I think buy him if you can, but don't be selling any players. Don't make any sideways moves, I would say. Like, for example, Seyfarth, I would not be selling Seyfarth to get Humphreys. And then Metcalf, I would advise against it, but if you have to, if you just had enough of Metcalf already, sure, do it. But it's a close call. Alright, so there we go. And I'll quickly go over my own team here. So 881 for me in week 1, ranked at 26,000, so got a lot of climbing to do. I'm hoping to get top 1,000. That's usually the goal. But it feels like it's getting harder and harder each season because everyone's getting more educated, making smarter calls. But yeah, I've made just the one trade here. I will be trading Purdue to Humphreys. Thankfully, I had a bit of money in the bank, so I can afford that. And yeah, at the moment, this is how I'm ordering my bench. So I'm looking, if I was going to bench anyone on here, it would be Hubner, and it would probably be for Jack Cole. Just thinking Cole could get some decent attacking stats against the Roosters, but the worry for me is just his base is a bit low. So it is a little bit risky where, Hubner seems like he's going to get that 50 to 60 minute role where he should get about 30 to 40 points. So yeah, and then I've got the vice captain on Ponga as he plays on Thursday, and captaining Nathan Cleary because that is rule 1, you do not take the captaincy off Nathan. If you do, you will regret it. So yeah, that'll be me for the week. If you have any questions, just leave a comment. I will answer them as soon as I can see them. And yeah, hopefully this video added a bit of value to your fantasy experience. And yeah, happy trading. Good luck for round 2. Catch ya.